What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about this rumor for Hellblade 2, and it's a mock review score. Now, there's actually several things we do need to go over regarding this, but first, let's go over just the rumor itself. It comes from Nate the Hate, and it's basically the mock reviews of Hellblade 2 are in the low 90s, and they say, at least internally, that's what they're anticipating. They don't know if it's fully mock, if it's internal or external, but that's what they're projecting, and it's something in the low 90s. That would be their highest Metacritic game since Gears of War 3. Now, okay, a few things to go into. Number one, do we believe this or not, right? That's a big part of it. Nate the Hate is generally a pretty good insider, so I would give a little bit more credit maybe than somebody else. You don't have to believe it, right? Ultimately, the game will come out, and you'll see reviews, and you could kind of find out the story when that happens. So that's part one. Part two is, well, okay, we've actually had a situation, with internal mock reviews before. And now the people replying to this tweet, I don't really think use their brains very much. Like the first tweet is talking about, well, remember about Redfall, right? And that is true. And I hope the point is simply, well, it was lower, right? The actual reviews were lower than what, it actually is. But Redfall, I think, is a terrible, terrible comparison. Number one, different kind of game. Number two, just, I don't know, we've had backing. We know what Hellblade 1 was. You can see all of this stuff on Hellblade 2. Going into Redfall, it was never really that high. The anticipation for it, you could see holes in it leading into the release, and it was more of just, well, maybe it's our eyes playing tricks on us or all this jazz. We also found out, hey, although you could give the studio kind of credit, right, for what they've done before, 70% of the people left. So, the team that made Redfall had 30% of a very talented team that have made their past really good games. So it's an entirely different situation. But okay, if you want to throw Redfall in. But, regardless, Phil Spencer actually did say when it came to Redfall, they did the internal mock reviews, and it was double digits, or the actual scores that they got were double digits lower than what they projected. That doesn't mean all that much, again, to me. If they projected it to get, right now on Metacritic, I think it has a 56. Redfall has a 56. So technically, they could have projected it to have a 66, and that statement would be right, double digits, right, too. So for me, yeah, maybe Redfall got a 75 or 80, and it got a 56. That would be a gigantic jump. So yeah, internal mock scores are probably off to some extent, but I assume they normally are off by smaller numbers, right? If there was a 20, 30-point gap with Redfall, you would hope that never happens again for any of their future games. So Hellblade or Avowed or Fable, you'd want to score probably within 4 to 5 points. Otherwise, I would say get rid of whatever company or people you're working with that do these internal scores, okay? And I didn't know about the low 90s. It would be their highest game since Gears 3. I'm actually going through the Gears of War games right now. Just played Gears 2. Incredible game. Haven't gotten to Gears 3 yet, but no, I think Hellblade 2 is going to be an amazing game. There's also, I think, the thing to throw in, my classic thing that I say in all these videos, you can care or not care as much as you want about review scores. I would always say make the decision on your own, make the decision off of what you see or even just what is explained to you in these reviews versus the scores themselves. Scores sometimes aren't even a great measure compared to what was written. There's many times people will criticize IGN, for example, for writing it, and then you'll say, oh, well, that seems like it's an 8 out of 10 kind of, and then the score will be a 6, and it's well, wait, you talked pretty positively about it, and then you gave it a 6, but I thought it would be higher than that. So that's how I look at it, is just, more on what is being shown to you or even what's being said about the game versus the score. But regardless, why I wanted to make this video, well, Hellblade 2 is one of my most anticipated games of this year that we're now in. I think it's going to be incredible. Do I care if it gets a 91 versus a 90 or a 90 versus an 89? No, ultimately, I don't really care what it gets. If it got 60s or 50s, yeah, that actually would be kind of a red alarm, considering the first game, I really like it. And I think the second game is going to be actually miles better than the first game. So, again, I don't put too much into review scores, but if this thing, is scoring in the 60s or 50s, there is a problem. But the difference between an 85 and even an 88 or 89 is really not that much, considering it's literally just numbers on a screen. Again, make your own call on it, but I'd say that's good news. You can argue, yeah, mock reviews can be wrong, and they certainly are. And I'm sure there's literally like a window of error, right? So if they're giving it, say, a 91 or a 92, it's very possible it's an 87 or 86. But I don't know. Like, can it be a 92 from them and then get a 64, right? Because that's some of the comments on Twitter is like, you might want to lower that to the 50s or 60s. It's like, you're insane. You're actually insane. I assume that the Redfall scores were not in the 90s. When they were internally reviewing Redfall, I would love to know for sure, but I highly doubt the game got above like an 80 in their own scores, and then they were shocked. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked, but it was probably getting in the 70s or maybe like low 70s at worst, and then it got a 56, right? That's what I assume happened. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.